Hey gang, so the topic of teaching at the Flow Festivals, and specifically making a living on it, or rather the lack thereof, has come across my plate quite a lot in the past few weeks. A lot of people asking about it. Clearly, I'm engaged in this thing full time, where I am trying to teach, I am trying to put information out there to the world. But, whether it be the Flow Festivals or YouTube or what have you, clearly it's not a big income source for me. So clearly neither posting videos online nor teaching at the Flow Festivals is really a good model for income. So the question inevitably becomes then, why do I do it? Why spend so much time, energy, and effort posting videos or teaching at the festivals? The answer is really twofold. And it has to do with why I do it, and it has to do with why I think it ought to be done. The first part of that answer ties in actually to what I did before I was a flow artist, which is that I was a political activist. One of the more incredible experiences that I had in the course of working for this organization was that there was a piece of legislation that we wanted to get passed, and this was, probably back in 2006 maybe. It was a piece of legislation that the Bush administration did not want to see passed. We had a large network of activists all over the country, and we would get them to call into whichever elected official's office who had held up the bill, and inevitably, if we got enough phone calls, we could get them to let the bill go. And this was the first time that I had seen people really actively engaged in government. It was the first time I had seen people win in that regard, We managed to pass the bill, and Bush signed it into law on New Year's Day. And it came with it a tremendous sense of empowerment. This kind of feeling like, oh my God, if we managed to do this, we could do anything. For most of my life, I've remembered feeling as though the world was just too big, it was too complicated, that there was no way that you could have an influence on it. People with money or power had basically shored up all the influence that there was to have, and all that we were just little pawns in it. And going through this experience really taught me a lot about feeling as though I had a role in the world around me. It's something that as I moved more and more into the flow arts, I started to recognize, but in a very different form. And there's an interesting thing that happens when I teach somebody a move that they thought was impossible just a few minutes ago. And there's this realization, there's this moment that I can almost always see occur in their eye, where just for a moment those barriers between impossible and possible break. And the feeling of seeing that look come across their face is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever had in my life. It produces these moments where I see people do incredible things, have that feeling of empowerment where they're able to do the thing that was impossible. They're able to take back just a little bit of the power that this world has robbed them of. Now, why do I think it's worth doing to put all those videos online and teach at the fire festivals? Because clearly it's not in my economic interests, not one bit. There's this old metaphor that gets passed around a lot, that fish will only grow as big as the kind of pond or fishbowl that they're in. And usually this is told in the context of somebody who's a very talented person. People will tell them that, you're kind of a big fish in a small pond, but you should move to a bigger pond because then you'll have the opportunity to grow into being a much bigger fish. I absolutely believe that this is the case. I believe that talented individuals, when you put them in an environment where they have access to lots of resources and ideas, can blossom and create amazing things. It's a great metaphor, but it also has a central flaw to it because it assumes that the only way that that fish can get bigger is they move to a bigger pond. And what gets neglected is the idea that what if instead of moving the fish to a bigger pond, what if you raise the pond? So the question then becomes, if you can create a big enough volume of people that all share this common vocabulary, what are those fish capable of doing? Can they create better art? Can they go further in their flow journey? Do they get more inspired to contribute to their community? I believe the answer is possibly all of these things. I think that when you raise the pond and when you give more opportunities for people to grow with it, they accomplish more. Learning is in and of itself a resource. Information is a resource. By posting videos and teaching at the festivals, I like to think that I am doing my part to raise the pond, as it were. Because in the end, that's the thing I really like to see the most, is for people to find themselves and blossom within it. For them to take the tools that they've learned from the flow arts and apply them to their wider lives. Teaching is something that means quite a lot to me. And it's something that I can't ever imagine giving up. Even if I were to stop spinning point at a given point, I think I would still be a teacher in some way, shape, or form. To all you guys that come to my classes and watch my videos, thank you. You're helping me feel like I'm actually accomplishing something in the world, and that's not nothing. Thanks for watching. Peace. This video right here exists thanks to the wonderful support of these folks right here. They found me at patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and were kind enough to make a contribution to continue my efforts to create educational flow arts content for people all over the world. If you or someone that you know has learned something from one of the videos that I've put out there, please consider going to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi or DrexFactor.com/support and making a small contribution to helping me continue this effort, putting out educational videos to people the world over and teaching them about the love of flow arts. Thank you in advance.